that correct? And I just want to say ahead of time, thank you for recognizing me. Years ago, I learned in this chamber what the definition of a gentleman is. A gentleman is someone who treats you better than you deserve. And Mr. Speaker, you are a gentleman. If I could have a page, here's a text of my remarks. My point of personal privilege concerns the political scene section of yesterday's Providence Journal. I had stated last Wednesday that in my opinion the Small Business Committee was virtually non-functional and existed primarily for the purpose of retribution. There is a segment in yesterday's political scene concerning my resignation from small business. The segment correctly quotes me about my reasons for doing so. My issue concerns the remainder of the article, which quotes spokesman Larry Berman, where he attempts to refute my points about the true purpose of the Small Business Committee. In doing so, he is making himself a part of the issue. In doing this, he becomes not a spokesman, but a newsmaker. He is supposed to work for you and me, but he's not. Instead, he is arguing with me. Am I telling the truth? Is he misrepresenting? Is he telling the truth to the people of Rhode Island? You know the truth, Larry. Tell the truth. Is he calling me a liar? Now, Larry Berman becomes the story. He cannot do his job. Where should the media go for the real story? Not to him. Disagreement between two elected representatives, that's fair. Dispute between a representative and a staff member, that's not fair. That's wrong. That's news. Haven't we learned anything from New Jersey? When you go down the path of retribution, followed by a staff that doesn't know their job, then there's bound to be trouble. The staff becomes the news. What we have here is a failure of leadership. The critical work we have to do for the people of Rhode Island is too important to let that happen. Does anybody seriously doubt what I said about the Small Business Committee? Is there anybody here who doesn't understand the full implications of what I said? I have a couple more paragraphs where I support my argument. Not necessary to read them. But Mr. Speaker, I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to make these points. I have copies of my statement and a list of the members of the Small Business Committee and their other committees for anybody who would like to have it. Thank you.
Mr. Speaker, thank you. And I don't want to get into any long discussion or arguments with anyone. But for the record, I'd like to state a fact. Number one, the House Committee on Small Business was made a permanent standing committee by former Speaker William Murphy directly in response to a request from the business community. And how it happened, for the record, I attended my first two small business economic summits in 06 and 07, and I recognized that really I wasn't hearing anything different. Year number one, year number two, nothing changed. So I met with some of the small business leaders and I said, how can we better help you? And they said, Pat, if we had our own committee to which we could bring our issues, that would be extremely helpful because many of our issues are not HEW issues, they're not judiciary issues. We need our own issues. Our issues are specific to small business. I said, let me see what I can do about that. So it was probably 07 or 08, I did approach Speaker Murphy, and I said, look, I've been going to these summits for 2 years. This is what I'm hearing. Nothing's happening. They don't feel that they have a home. How can we help them? He said, what did they ask for specifically? I said, specifically for their own standing committee. Is this something you would think about? He said, let me give it some thought and I'll get back to you. He gave it some thought. He called me back in. He said, I think that's a fine idea. Would you be interested in sharing the committee since you seem to have developed a relationship with them? I said, I would be honored. And for the record, I can refer you to people like Ron Caniglia, Gary Zowski, Mark Haywood, who never even walked these halls before because they thought they had no one to talk to. Now they have a committee chairperson and fine committee members, including Representative Dickinson, who I valued on that committee. He was insightful, he asked great questions, I thought he brought intelligence to the committee, and I do regret that he has resigned, Mr. Speaker. So I really am upset that the committee has been maligned as it has been maligned. But unfortunately, with many business issues, it's a fiscal note. As you know, anything that affects the budget has to go to Chairman Mello and his committee for final review. So, Mr. Speaker, it's an issue that's been bothering me all weekend. I wasn't going to step in the fray, and I don't want to cause an argument. I just wanted to set the record straight because I feel that passionately about it. Thank you, Madam.